Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Griffith. Thanks for watching. Why me? When bad things happen, do you ever ask that question? Why me? Why is this happening to me? I'm a good person. I help people. How could this thing be happening to me? Well, in the Bible, Daniel, he was a good guy too. You know what I'm talking about? Daniel, it's the Daniel in the lion's den Daniel. And I bet he was wondering the same thing. He's a good guy. He worshiped the Lord, but bad things happened to him too. So when you think of this story, who do you think of? You think of Daniel, right? He is the main character. But what about the other people in the story? Why don't you ever think of them? We don't say, yeah, Daniel in the lion's den. Oh, that's a great story about a really nice king. No, we don't do that. Why? Because we don't relate to the king. We relate to the suffering of a godly man who prayed and suffered. Daniel. What happened to him was not fair. It just wasn't. He was a good man, and you're a good person too. And it's not fair when bad things happen to you. When people try to sabotage you and hurt you and steal your dreams, it's not fair. It hurts. Well, this message is about God's perfect timing. And the story of Daniel teaches us something about the timing of God. Sometimes God moves very fast. Have you ever seen that? He moves also very slow sometimes. Have you ever seen that? He waits until the very last moment, sometimes to act as well. Those of you who have walked with Jesus for a long time, have you ever seen his timing be fast or slow? You have. The lessons that are there teach us that God does not operate in a box. He is sovereign. He knows all and he works all things out for his redemptive plan for the world. Every situation is different, and the web of circumstances is always connected in different ways. But God knows the ways. He is working all things out according to the answers of prayers in coordination to his timing, and they have your best interest at heart. The more we understand the timing of God and how it varies, the more that we learn to trust in his timing. Now, sometimes his timing is right in alignment with our timing, but many, many times, as you probably know, his big picture plan requires timing that is far, far off from what we expect and desire. Sometimes God answers healing prayers quickly, and it demonstrates to others how great God is. Sometimes a sickness goes on for a very long time, and we wonder why. It's hard to understand in our timing. And sometimes we will never understand because a person moves away and we never hear the end of their personal story. Or we pass away, and one day we learn of how everything worked out together for God in heaven. But it is only in heaven that some of the mysteries of life will be fully known to us. Daniel was like you. He went to church, he prayed, he loved God, and he was a dedicated worker to the government, the king. Daniel was the kind of goody two-shoes, that we all know and appreciate. But just because you are a godly man does not mean that you will escape trouble. Why? Well, one reason is that you live in a world of sin, and Daniel was the same in his world. For example, after many years of God sending the prophets to warn Israel and Judah to repent and return to him, God had no choice but to allow them to endure those consequences. First, Assyria conquered the northern kingdom of Israel. The citizens were moved and resettled in the land of Assyria. Eventually, the southern kingdom of Judah was also conquered, and it was moved to Babylonia. This was a major shift and a major change, and it affected the timing for Daniel. He was now older in the story. Daniel was a man in the service of the Persian Empire, and he boldly demonstrated his faith in God despite the pagan culture in which he was living. He did nothing wrong, but he was moved to a land he did not know. Did this interrupt his plans and his careers and his life, the life that he was building? Of course it did. It did. It interrupted in a big way. Why is this happening to me? I mean, he could have said that easily, but it could have all been avoided with repentance by Israel and Judah. So this timing by God was actually a delay because of God's compassion and extending time for the people to come back to him. He moved slowly to judgment, not fast. And he went with Daniel even in the hardship. God was with him. And Jesus, he's with you. Jesus is with you in your hardship. It's not his desire for your life for you to have a hardship, but he is with you through it. Just like he was with Daniel, he's with you. So in this new surrounding, he did not blame God or others, but Daniel trusted in God's timing. We see this in Daniel chapter 6, verses 3 through 5. Then this Daniel became distinguished above all other high officials and satraps, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. Then the high officials and the satraps sought to find a ground for complaint against Daniel with regard to the kingdom, but they could find no ground for their complaint or any fault, because he was faithful, and no error or fault was found with him. Then these men said, "We shall not find any ground for complaint against Daniel unless we find it in his connection with the law of his God." When you follow Jesus, you are going to go through some struggles because people know that you love the Lord. With Daniel, his faithfulness to God was the only thing that his enemies could attack. We are going to face some hard times ahead. I don't know what they're going to be, but we will. You and I both, we're going to face some hard times. But our God has perfect timing, and we will not be shaken. We are confident in our trust in Jesus because he's coming back to reign and rule for 1,000 years on earth and then forevermore. He is our king, and all that happens around us is subject to his perfect timing. Come on, it's good stuff. He holds the clock. The government shifted against Daniel's faith, and that happens all around the world today. He was faced with a decision to keep praying to God or not. I mean, what would you do? In Daniel chapter 6, verses 6 through 11, in the New Living Translation, it says, "So the administrators and the high officers went to the king and said, 'Long live King Darius. We are all in agreement, we administrators, officials, high officers, advisors, and governors, that the king should make a law that will be strictly enforced. Give orders that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone, divine or human, except to you, your majesty, will be thrown into the den of lions. And now, your majesty, issue and sign this law so it cannot ever be changed. An official law of this type of the Persians cannot be revoked.' So King Darius signed the law. But when Daniel learned of the law that had been signed, he went home and he knelt down as usual in his upstairs room with its windows open towards Jerusalem. He prayed 3 times a day, just as he had always done, giving thanks to his God. Then the officials went together to Daniel's house, and they found him praying and asking for God's help. Daniel went back to God and he kept praying. He stayed connected to God. The timing seemed very poor for him. Just as things were going well in his life, a law was created to keep him from doing the one thing that kept him in fellowship with God. How could this possibly be? You know, we asked that question. How could this be happening? Do you ever wonder how crazy the timing of things in your life can be? You get so close to something working out only to have it all fall apart. It's devastating. But know that God has perfect timing. It's perfect timing. For example, in the stock market, there's something called the options exchange. Do you know what an option is in the stock market? It's when options traders make a trade for you on the options market, and it's very risky. Options are designed in a way so that there's always a winner and a loser. For every gain that someone gets, there is someone who loses. A person actually wins and a person actually loses. But God's timing is not like that. In Romans 8:28, it says that God works all things together for good to those who love him and are called according to his purpose. That means that God is a God of concurrent timing, parallel timing. He is working things good for you and for others at the same time. Even if a law is made that is against you, God is still working things together for your good because you love him and you are called according to his purpose. That's you. Isn't that amazing? That means that there is a supernatural timing that God has for you. And if we know the story of Daniel, we know that was for sure the case for him. Daniel chapter 6, verses 12 through 14, it says, "Then they came near and they said before the king concerning this injunction, 'O king, did you not sign an injunction that anyone who makes a petition to any god or man within 30 days, except to you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions?' The king answered and said, 'The thing stands fast according to the law of Medes and Persians, which cannot be revoked.' Then they answered and said, well, before the king, 'Daniel, who is one of the exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you, O king, or your injunction that you have signed, but makes his petitions to his God 3 times a day.' Then the king, when he heard these words, was so distressed, and he set his mind to deliver Daniel. And he labored until the sun went down to rescue him. And he didn't know what to do. Daniel chapter 6, verse 16 says, "Then the king commanded, and Daniel was brought and cast into the den of lions." He had to. He had no choice. The king declared to Daniel, "May your God, whom you serve, continually deliver you." And in Daniel chapter 6, verses 19 through 23, it says, "Then at the break of day, the king arose and he went down to the den of lions. And as he came near the den where Daniel was, he cried out in a tone of anguish. The king declared to Daniel, "O Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions?" Then Daniel said to the king, "O king, live forever. My God sent an angel and he shut the mouths of the lions. And they have not harmed me because I was found blameless before him. And also before you, O king, I have done no harm." Then the king was exceedingly glad and commanded that Daniel be taken out of that den. So Daniel was taken out of the den, and no kind of harm was found on him. Because he had trusted in the Lord his God, he was rescued. This rescue was not just about Daniel. It was also about reaching the king's heart. This is the concurrent Romans 8:28 timing of God. Have you ever prayed for a ruler and a leader or an authority? God hears your prayers and he works all things together. He works on their hearts as well. In the midst of what is happening to you, your situation may be used by God in his timing to help reach the heart of a leader. Your suffering may be part of winning a leader to the Lord. Your suffering may be a part of sowing a seed with a person of great influence. Your suffering may be a part of reaching the heart of your husband or your wife for Christ. God's timing is perfect. We can celebrate that and we can love God. I'm Dr. Robert Griffith, and together with Christ, we can build something that will last today, tomorrow, and forever. To go deeper into this message or to bring this to your church, visit robertgriffith.org. Again, that is robertgriffith.org.